I know deep down inside of me, I'm a degenerate who wants to sit at home, play video games, eat, like chocolate chips, those
drink
little
liters of cola,
just drink cola, and like like she's living her best life, and yes, but she's an absolute great. If she was a real person, she's an F tier real person. Yeah. She's an F tier real person.
0 out of 10 would not invite over. But
what's up, guys? Xell here.
And Crim.
And today we have a very special video. One, we're live in the flesh together. And two is today we are going to be ranking all of your favorite anime protagonists. And
all of them.
This is a spoiler alert. I think most of them are trash, but we're going to do our best to try to rank them.
They're not that bad. Okay, we'll see.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out.
We'll talk about it.
Okay, so we have a list on Tier Maker here, and so we're just gonna go through and talk about them individually, and yeah, let's see what we got, okay?
Oh boy, yeah.
All right, first up, we've got Boruto.
If you're asking me where I would put Boruto, I'm gonna put that at D.
D tier?
D tier, and that's generous. So we're going from S, A, B, C, D, and an F, and then of course haven't watched in case we haven't seen it. Now, from one of the 3 episodes of Boruto that I did see, I'm gonna put it at D, dude. Like I think it's just he's a little too generic for me. He doesn't stand out, and he kind of just feels like a Kirkland brand, a watered down version of his father. So I mean, he is technically, but like yeah.
But he's got the eye thing. He's like no, I'm with you there. All right.
Really?
I know, yeah. Let's move on. Okay. Next we have Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul.
Okay, so Tokyo Ghoul was good, right? Like it was. I thought it was like enjoyable. It got really bad. So look. I think that like I'm gonna put him like around C.
C tier?
C tier.
I think I'm about the same. Like Kaneki isn't really like grossly offensive in any way. He's just your average Joe protagonist. Like he just is thrust into this whole world and I don't know.
I think like just him as a character, right? Like you think about it, it's not like he was a miserable character.
Yeah.
It was just the writing around the show that was like pure caca, right? Like so it's not his fault. Like there are good actors in movies that are bad, right? So yeah, I'm gonna put him at a C tier.
Okay. Okay. Next one we have Madoka from Madoka Magica.
Why don't you tell us where you'd rank this one? Because if you ask me,
I think she's crud.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I just like, it's like watching a horror movie and the main character continually does the wrong thing. It's like,
and you're just screaming at the screen.
Like, have you looked at Cube? Does he look like your friend? Why are you doing this? Why? She constantly goes in it. And then what's her face? Her friend with the black hair has to go and solve everything for her. So yeah, I think, the show really shouldn't be called Madoka Magica. Like, why is it around Madoka? Wait, is her name Madoka? I'm pretty sure it is. I forgot about her name.
I don't even remember it because I've forgotten most of the characters' names. But I'm gonna be real with you here. I think this. I was gonna rate around a D to maybe even edging towards an F even.
Yeah.
But this is where my I guess now infamous take is. I actually think the show is bad.
That's not what this is about. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
I will have to take you out back. Can you pass my shotgun that's over there?
You know what? Okay, hold on. Okay, so there's reasoning behind that. All the characters are very bland, and the main character specifically, they're very vanilla. The witch hunts, or like the Alice in Wonderland theme that they have for the witch hunts, I get it, it's cool, but like, it looked kind of silly to me. It didn't look, okay, whatever. We're not talking about the show, but I will say that I think all the characters are whack. So that's why I didn't like it. Now, of course, I only watched up to episode 6 or 7, and so I dropped it. Whatever. I know. Yep.
We're moving on. Okay.
I'm not ashamed.
All right, next we have Yagami Light from Death Note.
I think as a character, right? Like I think a solid C to B.
C to B?
He's like perfectly.
Okay, if you have to choose B or C.
Choose one, B or C. I mean, I liked him more than Kaneki, so yeah, sure, we'll go with that. We'll go B.
B? Okay. I'm gonna put him at an A tier. It's weird though because he's like simultaneously the protagonist and the antagonist.
Yes.
And I personally really loved watching sort of his whole descent as a as a human being, as his character. So I actually think out of the characters, we only have 4 so far. But like, to me, Yagami Light was a great character, and that's why do I like him personally? No. But that's like the point, right? It's you watch this guy who is like everything. He's top student, you know, all the girls love him. Dude's got mad bitches everywhere, right? And then he picks up this magical notebook and then just starts wrecking, you know, the whole world.
Signing people off.
Yeah. And so watching his sort of like descent into madness was like super cool, and I think
call it descent. I felt like it was an ascent into power here, right? Like, I mean, dude, like as you mentioned though, the reason why I liked him and also disliked him is a lot like the reasons you had mentioned. He is both. Yeah. Right. He's both the villain and the main. Like he's. You know, like he's out there doing what is, you could say, morally questionable, right? So, but yeah, as a character overall, I do like him. So I can see, I can see the A. I can understand the A. And so far, he's the best on this list that we've got. That's for sure.
That's
like,
for sure.
Clear cut. Like I like him way more than the other characters. So.
Okay, next character is from Code Geass. Very similar character. We have Lelouch.
This, I will rank him at did not watch because I never watched Code Geass.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Well, he's very similar to like, I actually really like this character too. I'm gonna give him an A. He's the same sort of thing where he like discovers his power, realizes that he can change the world with it, and yeah, I like main characters who, you know, for better or worse,
have an edge.
Yeah, well, it's not about edginess. It's just like they just get shit done, you know? Yeah. I like that. I like that about Lelouch. I like that about like
measures. No half measures. Like, don't let your villain live, whatever, you know, just like get the job done. Okay.
He has a goal in mind and he's out there to get it, so I like him. Is he the best character ever? No, I think, you know, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious who our first S will be. So let's move on to the next character here. We have from Fullmetal Alchemist. We have Elrich.
I mean, like I feel like this is almost too easy to like put at S, right? I like Elrich a lot. Yeah, I like Elrich a lot. So, I mean, I think it's just mostly just because first off, he does everything I want. He gets stuff done, right? Yeah, and on top of that, he's like. He's got the moral code that I like, right? Like, so I'm down with him at S. You know, I think, well, that didn't last long. I was curious who our first S was going to be. Turned out the next person. You really like it. I mean, like he's a great main character. Like honestly, one again, like I said before, he's a guy who gets stuff done. I like that about him. He has that like reason to be the way that he is, which is that like he, you know, is still grieving over what he did with his mother, and that's what pushes him to try to like save his brother. Like, there's he's such a level character. Yeah, and he's still like a good dude, right? At the end of everything, because there's so many things that could go wrong, right, in life, especially in this world. And
nothing's ever gone wrong.
Yeah, nothing's ever gone wrong. That's
specifically
for sure.
Not the last 32 years. Whatever.
Yeah, and definitely not in the anime world either, right? So despite all the things that have happened, he's still like just an all-around good dude. Yeah. So I really like that. He was able to like kind of like hold himself together.
He's kind of like the lawful good of like good protagonists to me, where it's just like you want to cheer for him and he works hard and like, yeah, he's competent, he's smart, and he's still a lovable character. Yeah, all the hallmarks of a great main character.
Has really cool like costume design.
Yeah.
I love the iconic red coat, right? So like, yeah, I love when a character has that whole package. For me, an S tier will have usually some form of that. The lovable character, personality, moral code, and then, let's not lie here, they gotta look somewhat badass, right? Like, or kind of cool, right? Yeah, a little bit, right?
Okay, well, the good thing we're going into this next character. We have Eren Yaeger from Attack on Titan.
Drip God Eren Yaeger.
Drip God. Obviously, great morality, am I right? What else did we say about good protagonists? So I'm gonna go off with this one, and I say, I hate this guy.
Same.
I actually just cannot stand him. I'm giving him our first F for me. I really dislike. I understand that he's sort of a driving point in the show, but like it's almost so undeserving that like I just hate this character. I really do.
I mean, I'm not even sure if I don't even like this. I dropped it after I think like a D, right? He's a solid D tier. he's pretty miserable to watch, and like actually the show gets better when he's not on screen. But like the thing here is he's at the same time like you had mentioned a center point of a lot of things that happen in the show.
Yeah.
So like I'm gonna put him at a D. I don't think he's F tier yet.
So this is gonna be one of the weird things to talk about because you haven't caught up on the show.
Yeah.
I've only caught up to where the anime is, and the manga readers who are watching this are gonna be like, and they've already finished it, right? So now we're talking about 3 different viewpoints. I actually think Eren was better early on, and then he gets worse as a character as he goes on.
When you say early on, like I enjoyed him a decent amount as when I was starting the show, right? In like season 1. Season 2, I thought I actually thought season 2 sucked as a whole. So I also thought he sucked, and then on top of that was when I was like, okay, well, what's the manga about? So I read farther. Like I did read into the chapters right before where Jean like looks like he's about to die. He's in the city with they look like Western like cowboy dudes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like right there, that's right when I stopped. And at that point, I still hated Eren. Eren definitely like started he wasn't already that high of a spot of like enjoyability, but he just kept finding a way to go lower and lower and lower. So
actually, I'm gonna bump him up to D in the end because there are a couple scenes in the most recent season that I was like, okay, Eren, even though I question his morals, I think he's kind of a dick, to put it very lightly. He does have some good moments, so you know what? I'll leave him at D. Okay, next one we have Deku from My Hero Academia, and I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Green Naruto, I think I gotta put him up around a B.
B tier, okay.
I like Deku, right? Like he's kind of at this point now, like almost a little cookie cutter when you think about like every main character, like yada yada yada. But like, I like that he had no powers, right? Mm-hmm. He essentially started from nothing and then got powers and learned to come to like grips with how he got powers and life with powers, right? And you can still tell he's learning. So I just like him a lot because of he's so humble about everything. And like the humble main character exists and has been around, but the way they wrote Deku, I just really like it.
Chew! Excuse me.
Like so much he sneezed.
So yeah, I agree. I think Deku, he's not like my favorite main character. He's sort of your average Joe main character. But there's a couple qualities that make you like him, and that's why I bump him to a B rather than like C. I think like C is like ultra mediocre, like not a lot of shine. But like I love Deku and his relationship with his mom. I love the sort of he's just an underdog that you want to cheer for, and he tries hard. Yeah, I don't know. I like Deku's a lovable character. I think B is very like. I think that's inoffensive.
Respectable, right? Yeah, because he's a good dude, and he's better than like Kaneki and like a good amount of like the average tier characters, which we got a lot of mediocrity to get him to.
Next one, we've got Gon from Hunter x Hunter.
So I actually like Gon a lot.
Yeah,
I put him, but I like him in the same levels that I like Deku. So I put him at B, just because legitimately. He just wants to be like his dad, dude. His dad that just, once again, I don't know where why are dads
anime
so bad
at
anime? But he is just he loves what he does, and it's like fun, the way they wrote him, right? And I'm a little bit biased because, I do love the writer's previous work. The way they wrote Gon, he has this like sense of adventure and like joy in his eyes, and he just gets so excited and he's so passionate about it that you get caught up with it. It's like, hell yeah, let's get on the random boat and go like ditch our home and try to potentially go die or jump off like cliffs and stuff like that, and and go into spider webs and all these things, right? Like I don't know. I thought Gon was just like his sense for adventure is why I love him so much.
Yeah, to me, Gon is just like. He's just an epitome child with great powers, right?
Right.
And I think that sort of he's simple, but like kids should be simple,
right?
And he's very straightforward. Probably even you compare it to Killua, he's way more straightforward than Killua. But I like that, and I'm actually gonna I think he's like a B plus A minus to me. Because like he's not a complex character, but I think for what he is, he's great. So I'm gonna put him tentatively at A tier. So I love Gon. I think he's one of the bright spots in such a dark show.
Yes,
and I appreciate his presence in the show because of that.
It's needed, right? Because he brings that like what you had mentioned, like that lightheartedness, like that childish spirit, right? Like the youth and all of that. Whereas like I mean, I still don't believe. I already forgot his name. The tall dude with the glasses. That he's not like 50, but like all right. Sure.
Oh yeah, the doctor guy.
Yeah, the doctor dude. But yeah, like so, like he brings a lot of youth and a much needed youth to a show and lightheartedness. So yeah, I like him.
All right, next we have Hinata from Haikyuu. Thoughts?
I feel like I'll let you lead this one. I
really like Hinata, and I think over the course of the seasons, like I like that over the course of the different seasons of Haikyuu, he starts out as like he's just like a one-trick wonder, right?
Right.
And I think it's been really cool to see his sort of evolution as he realizes where he needs to grow, and he works really hard into doing it. I think he's just very classic good shonen character. I think for me, he's like a solid B, and he's also one of the ones that I'm like B+, A-. He's like the gatekeeper there because I like him a lot. He's bright, colorful, but also has quite a bit of depth in the way he sees competition and stuff. And, like a lot of characters like him where they're the sort of underdog is that they can frequently be annoying in shows. Yeah. And I actually think that Hinata strays that line really well. So I'm positive on Hinata.
Maybe it's because like when I watched her, right? Like when Haikyuu was like, current and airing, that's not when I watched it. I watched a little bit after. But the thing here is for me, I think he's perfectly just okay. Like he's better than Kaneki, but like I'd say he's about a B to even like C.
Oh, okay.
So and it's mostly just because I feel if I had to pick one, I'd probably just put him like ahead of Kaneki, and then just like I don't think he's anywhere near gone yet in any of these other characters like Light or Deku yet. It's because he just seemed very basic to me. Okay. I know this is blasphemy to say, but I feel like he's still the feel-good story, but because there's this weird thing, right, with main characters. They walk the line of either A, being annoying if you focus on them too much, or like, you get more out of them. And I was hoping they would just do a little bit more because they didn't focus on him, or they like just kind of made him feel a little bit like he faded into irrelevancy for me. Okay. I enjoyed the characters in Haikyuu that weren't him way more.
Well,
he's got the fiery spirit, though. I love that. Like I do. He's got the makings of like a main character. He's not a bad main character. Okay. He's just okay.
All right.
I know that you're. And as I say that, I know it's not my favorite sports anime either. So.
Okay.
I'm gonna just drop that bomb on you right now.
All right, we're moving on.
Kuroko no Basuke's better. I'm sorry.
Okay. We've got Kurosaki from Bleach.
So I think that the first season of Bleach is so good, and I love every character, and I think it's arguably some of like the best anime out there. It's like but the issue is that I know what happens after, so it kind of brings it down a lot of bits. So I would arguably say if Bleach was just like one season, I'd probably put it at A. Yeah. But I think I'm gonna put him at B. To even, I'm gonna put him at, actually, I'm gonna drop him down to C as I think about it. Like, he really starts tanking, right, for me in Bleach.
He used to have a personality, and then it's sort of like he just became Goku. Where it was just like, oh, he needs to always step up to whatever task is at hand. And I think he falls flat as a character because of it. Because, like, I don't really understand what his perceived flaws are, because whatever they are, it's just always associated to his power level, and he always exceeds it, right? So, like, I don't know. I think
he's very vanilla, right? And like,
yeah, I agree. I think,
to be honest with you, I think his ranking right now is boosted because of how good he was in season 1.
Yeah, I could totally see him be a D or F, but like the good parts of his personality I remember from like either filler episodes in the anime or whatever. Like, I liked him as a character early on, he was I don't know, I guess just generic good guy. Yeah. I mean, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, maybe he does deserve to be on D. I don't know. He's like a low C for me, so. Yeah. He's like not super offensive in any way. Like, I don't go around being like, oh, I think Kurosaki Ichigo is a terrible main character. But it's just like, he's just not that great.
He doesn't stand out. I actually also like think that his costume design also isn't anything super cool to me. So I was just like, all right, sure, whatever. I mean, I think Kaneki's designed it, but I'm an edgelord, so I have to actually think that Kaneki's like design is cooler. But yeah, like, I don't know. Yeah, he definitely, I feel like this rating for me is boosted from season 1.
All right, so next up we have Noragami's, what's her name? Hiyori. Personally speaking, I think Yanto is more the main character, but I guess a lot of the story is told through Hiyori. So
right.
And I think she's a pretty good. She's like just a little bit above like mediocre for me. She's like a C plus B minus. I think there are parts of her that's super lovable. Like the scene that'll always take with me is the one where she builds a shrine for Yato.
Yep.
And I'm just like, man, she's so adorable, and like she's got a good heart. You want to cheer for her. She just kind of doesn't do anything. That's all.
Right, that's the problem. I actually would rate her. I love Noragami, but I think that I rate her probably around a C, because just the fact that she feels very cookie cutter. She doesn't stand out, and like maybe it's because it feels like they spent so much time writing Yato more than anything else that it almost seems problematic, right? Like it's like she just doesn't do anything of significance other than build a shrine and is there to like move the plot points. So I don't know. I thought she was just okay.
Yeah, I agree. There just doesn't seem to be that much that really stands out for her. Like when I think of her as a character, I'm like, I don't even remember her backstory. Really.
I mean, we let's not lie here. With the powers of editing, we were able to fool you, but we actually forgot her name. That's just like how
But Yato comes to mind immediately.
Yeah, Yato, right? That's the only thing you think of when you think of Noragami. So, and Bishamon because
Okay, moving on. Dude, I even think Yuki had like a cooler character arc overall. Yuki, the sword kid.
Literally because she's just a basic schoolgirl. That's all she is.
Yeah,
it just feels like that's it. Give us a schoolgirl, and that's what we did.
Yep. Okay, moving on. All right, next up we have Mob from Mob Psycho and S.
Yeah, Snap S. I like right to the top for me. I love, dude. Everything about Mob is amazing, right? Like, I mean, like his powers. I think my favorite thing about him is legitimately his obliviousness and how normal he is in this world.
Yeah, I mean, he lives in this crazy world, and somehow, even though he could be the most exceptional of all of them, he remains like unassuming and wants to just desperately be normal and accepted. And I think the power of a good main character is that you want to cheer for them and you want to like. Yeah, you just want to support them, and Mob is like the ultimate version of that.
It really, like just watching him like struggle and slog through gym class when this dude could like send you to a whole nother dimension is hilarious to me. Like, you know what I mean?
I love Mob.
And like really though, his design is just so simple, and I love it.
Mob S. Easy. S. Okay, next one we've got Naruto from
Boruto.
Boruto's dad. Or Boruto's dad from Naruto. I don't know who the Naruto guy is, but he is sort of my middle of the road. He's not.
He's the benchmark. I think.
If you're better than Naruto, you're probably like a pretty decent character. Right. If you're worse than Naruto, well, okay. Because like he's pretty generic. His backstory, like kind of whatever. And he sort of has some of the same problems that I think like Ichigo has later too, which is that he just continually evolves into just the whatever he needs to push the plot along. But that said, I still think he's better than Ichigo. So
I would rank him above Kaneki.
Yeah, I think he's like,
he's not the best character in my tier of C-listed characters. Haikyuu's still good, right? It's still enjoyable, all right?
Yeah, Naruto's like a C plus to me in that like, a lot of the things that drove him as a character, like I loved early Naruto, right? Where he's this outcast and he doesn't have things and that's why he acts out. He's like such a brat. And over time, he learns to try to like learn to be accepted through like example and the whole idea. Like I loved his sort of like talk with pain later on in the Akatsuki arc. And I think Naruto has actually a couple of good points that bring him a little bit more out for me
in the early seasons.
Well, I think throughout, honestly, but I don't think that he's overall that amazing great of a character. So I think like C plus B minus is like I think pretty fair for me.
I feel like everybody who likes Naruto and watches Naruto likes the characters around him way more than him, like Naruto himself, right? Because let's be honest here, he's not bad. He's just okay.
He's just okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So next up we have Fooly Cooley's Naota. He's the little brat character with the things growing out of his head.
Yup.
All right, what do you think?
I give him an A.
You giving him an A?
I think, now, I don't know if this is because, well, so like Fooly Cooley as a show, right, is coming of age, kind of like dealing with all those things, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's because when I watched it, I was exactly at that age, right? So it was cool to see this character who kind of just got these weird powers, had to kind of trying to find a way to like, you know, like fit into society and do all this stuff while growing up with all this extra stuff around him. So I just thought it was cool to see someone at that age, at that time that I was watching it, just kind of like grow, right? So he was kind of a brat, he was a dick, and you know, a little rough around the edges, but eventually you do see him become a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah. I think for me, he's just middle of the road. I think a lot of the show is like things happen. Like for me, he's a character where he's deliberately meant to be pretty empty so that you sort of just feel the story through him as all these crazy things happen. And that's fine, but I think like, so I think his purpose in the show, he does that great, but him as a character, I think he's largely forgettable. Personally, like when I think of Haru from the show, like that's a character, you know, that really sticks with you because she's the one who really drives a lot of the show, right?
I mean, you think of her and her Vespa and
So for,
you know what?
For me, Naota is more like middle of the road C.
Put him at a B for me. Put him at a B.
B? Okay.
Because, and I will say, and I think he is, I still think like he's better than Deku and Gon and stuff like that. But like, yeah, like I think a lot of it is elevated and boosted by like nostalgic factor, right? Like, and like when I watched it. So I think that's why I connected with him more. But as I think back to it, yeah, he is, you know, not exactly super like powerful or like, I mean, not like super like stand out, like you know, so yeah. I can see that.
Okay, so next we have Saitama from One Punch Man.
That's an A. That's a solid A. That's a solid A. I mean, just even the picture of Saitama is perfect, right? Like, and his Oppai hoodie and like all of that, like, dude. One Punch Man, I'm just strictly talking about like him as a character. I think this is the biggest issue I didn't like season 2 is because they kind of benched him, right? Yeah. And I love season 1 though and all of that because he's such a funny guy and like his workout routine is like 100, like his moves, when he yells moves, it's like 100 consecutive punches and I'm just like.
Normal punches.
Yeah, like normal punches and I'm just like, that's hilarious, right? Like they did a really good job and he has, you know, it's no surprise to me that like, you know, Saitama and Mob are like near each other because they have that same charm to it, right? They're just average people in a wild world.
Yeah, I'm gonna put him up at like a S- A+ tier because the show just doesn't work without him, right?
Yeah,
like
it really doesn't.
If he wasn't so funny and so like just entertaining to go about his day, the show just doesn't. I don't know. I just can't imagine another like if you were to like replace main characters with another one like they played tradesies. Like the whole reason it works is because him as a character is so hilarious. Like this whole dichotomy of him getting absurdly strong from just regular exercise and then like he just wants to feel something in the end. And it's funny because like I cannot relate to a character who is just so powerful that like everything is easy to him. But like his sort of ennui, like that general sense of like lostness, like that part of him is so relatable. And that's funny to me is that like I relate to this character even though we have very different kinds of problems.
He makes you believe that you actually can do, right? Like what he's doing because he's just so average, right? Yeah. So I love that.
Like I love the sequences where they really show how average is. Like he's playing video games with King and King just dumpsters him and he's just getting he's really salty and he just sucks at video games. Like all those things just make Saitama such a great character, even though again like he's pinholed into like a very specific thing in the show, but it's so perfect for who he is. And I think our next character is also similarly like that. Psyche K, like how do you make the show work without his sort of like...
It really doesn't. And when he loses one of his little pink antennas, he's just essentially useless and he just lays on the like, you know what I mean? Like Psyche, I gotta rate him at A.
Yeah.
I think he's a solid A for him. He's just so funny, right? Like, although I forgot his friend, the other friend's name, the one that believes he's actually in an anime.
Oh my god, dude. I forgot his name.
I don't know if this is
funny.
a compliment or not, but I often get compared to him. So
yeah, being compared to Chunibyo might not be the best thing, but you know, I'm putting Psyche at like an A-ish. I think he's just very funny. He's a little bit too like singular of a character in a way that, because like he's similar to Saitama, but I think Saitama shows a lot. We see a lot more of his personality, and he feels more rounded as a character. Psyche, actually, what's his real name? But yeah, I think like Psyche, he's so singular-minded in the way he wants to live his life, and I don't know. I just think he wears on me a little more than the way like Mob or Saitama does, and I don't know.
It's probably because you know how we had mentioned like Mob and like Saitama, they feel way more normal, right? Like actually somewhat normal people. Psyche is very much so not a normal person.
He's not meant to be related to it.
So like because he's not as easily relatable, you know what I mean? Like some of him can wear on you a bit more, but I still love him a lot. I think it's a different type of charm, but like still along the lines of Saitama. So for me, I hold them in about the same regard. They're both very absurd characters. So with the next part, we have the original artwork of Shinji. So I'm gonna go off the original run of Shinji, not the
remake. Yeah.
So Shinji, thanks to him, spawned a whole archetype of whiny like main characters. One mainly Eren Yaeger, and things like him. So you know what? I gotta put old Shinji probably at a low C.
Low C.
Now, I still think the anime like is amazing, right? Like it was absolutely amazing, regardless of how annoying Shinji was. But I think this came across way better in the rebuild specifically because they actually made you feel sorry for Shinji, and you wanted to and you could understand, right? He's got to come to grips with the fact that he's got a lot of responsibilities and an awful.
Where do you put new Shinji?
New Shinji, I'd put him at about probably an A.
Ooh, okay.
Because I feel for him.
Yeah.
I feel for him. He's written way better. His scenes feel way less whiny.
Old Shinji for me is like an F tier because he's like the Satan spawn that started this whole trend of annoying main characters that you just could not. In the original, I just hated Shinji. He was so annoying. I could not stand the fact that like, bro, I don't care about your relationship with your dad. Just save the world, dude.
The robot Shinji. Like he spawned a whole archetype of Eren's, right? Like he started all of it. So like, as I said, he's a low C, but you know what? As we talk about it, I'm probably dropping him down to a D right now but at the top of the D, because Eren can't ever be over the father, the original, the OG.
But if I was to talk about Shinji overall in the series, and like he ends up being way more like well-rounded, you know, like as a character, and you start to understand like where the source of all that whininess, you know, and I think that's like the big thing is I think they did such a better job outside of the original of like showcasing a bit more of his character, and he does some questionable ass stuff in the original and.
With Asuka specifically.
I mean, is it really with?
I mean, yeah, I guess that's true, right? So, like, there's a lot that goes on inside, like, the original run, right? That I think just makes Shinji kind of just this all-around, like, kind of like crap stain, right, of a character. But what about the rebuild?
Yeah, so the rebuild, I think I'd give him like a high B, low A. Like I think he's a very solid character. He's a character thrust into a lot of responsibility with not a lot of good people around him to support him. And like you feel for him, and it's just an overwhelming feeling. Like when you watch the original like rebuild movie, like you just feel so overwhelmed with all the stuff that he suddenly has to do, and like. And so I don't know.
While like all doing this and trying to just seeking affection from his from Gendo.
Yeah,
I don't
just
know,
acceptance from anybody. Yeah.
Gendo. Let's call him Gendo.
Okay, so the next one we have Simone from Gurren Lagann.
What do you think about this? I know you have.
I am gonna give him just a low B as a character. He sort of does what he needs to do in the show, and I think like he's largely just inoffensive to me. Like he goes through like the whole arc of being like really timid and like, you know, no powers or whatever, but he just has like some determination, and that blossoms into more determination, and he starts to grow up a bit, and then like he goes through like the stuff with Kamina, and then he grows, and then he kind of breaks down, but then grows past it. So like I feel like he has this whole character arc, and he grows, and I think that's like a hallmark of a good character. But like he doesn't really have any like details around his character that give him any like real shape. And he starts to get there towards the end of the show when he like is the leader of his group, and he starts to, you know, set out on his own path to try to, you know, save humanity and stuff. But in reality, like I think I just kind of like him. I don't love him, and so that's why he's in a low B for me.
I feel like, and also now that you have him right next side to side by Deku, it's just like I could see
They're the same character.
See some of the similarities. I'm gonna put him just at a C.
Okay.
For those exact reasons, right? Like I'm gonna put him higher than I already forgot her name already from Noragami. Her from Noragami. But yeah, like I think that it's just because he is exactly like you had mentioned. He's just not. He's not like a detractor from the show. But he's just not it's not somebody that I'd remember either, right? Like a lot of the C characters and below, I'll often forget their names, or they are down there and they're infamous for specific reasons. So, but yeah, he's there. That's just what I feel like. He's there.
All right, next up we have from Food Wars. I forgot his name as well. Soma. Yeah, from Food Wars.
Yep. Kind of boring.
I'm putting him at a D tier. The thing is, like, for me, is the show was just wore on me overall. Like, I just, and he was just so generic. Like, oh, I'm actually insanely good at cooking. Wow, that's crazy. And that's my leading trait, is that I'm good at cooking.
I just felt like his overall, like, you know, whenever he was cooking, you know, and like people would always have like, well, I've aged all my spices and all this other stuff. He never did anything cool. And he's just like, granted that he did just work at a diner, right? But the thing here is like, I just don't know. Nothing stood out about him. Nothing at all. And he actually kind of was to the point where he was a detractor, though, because he was so bland and boring that it's just like it was actually excruciating watching scenes with him.
It's pretty ironic for a show about cooking for the main character to be so bland,
to not have any flavor whatsoever. But then again, if it's at a diner, I guess it goes hand in hand, right?
I've been to some good diners, okay?
Maybe I just haven't been to the right diners then.
Okay, so next one, we've got Subaru from Re:Zero. I personally just don't like his character, but I think that's kind of the point, is that he starts off as a character who really doesn't have that many redeeming qualities.
Right.
And I understand that that's kind of the point, but I haven't caught up fully on Re:Zero, so I don't know when the turning point is. So I'm going to just say, like...
Did you like him by the end of season 1?
I didn't.
Okay.
Because he just felt like a weirdo simp lord. And like that seemed to be
for
like
Emilia, he is.
Yeah, like he just seemed to
Rem
be.
was better, but
yeah, I agree. I think Rem is better. Emilia, at least at the end of season 1, I was just like, I don't understand why he is so motivated by Emilia, who has done literally nothing for you. Yeah. And she even admits that she's just like, I don't understand why you're like so about this, dude. And like, I was there with Emilia. I was like, yeah, if some dude was like, you have no idea what I've been through. I've died 1,000,000 times to get here. I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. Who are you? Essentially, like
who? So I like, he's an interesting character in some of the decisions that he makes later on and stuff, but I can't really put him past a C for me.
Yeah, he's another C character for me. And like, once again, I do like him a little bit more than Ichigo, but like that's about it. But not more than Kaneki.
Kaneki at least looks cool as
I think that's the only difference. The track jacket doesn't do it for me, right? Like, but the thing here is you're right though. Like, if you didn't like him by the end of season 1, I don't think he gets much better because I didn't like season 2.
Yeah.
So I like season 1 a lot, but season 2 is kind of caca. So yeah, he's also another bland one. Like, he's somebody that doesn't really stand out to me either. Like, a good amount of these C characters are ones that just don't... They're in a show that's good, but it's not because of them. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that's the main thing.
Okay, let's go on to the next one. Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop.
I mean, come on now, S, right?
This
is an S tier. I don't care. It's played out by now, but S tier, right? For a reason.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I wanted to be like Spike Spiegel. And then it was a very depressing moment when I realized that I will never be Spike Spiegel.
I think we all had that realization moment where we're like, maybe we're not going to be as cool as Spike. But
he's so cool. And I don't know, I just...
How do they do that, though? Because, he had this unbelievable swagger to him. Right?
Yeah, just brooding, but also lively at the same time. He was... outstandanding at combat and the stuff that he does, but also very low key about
dialogue, his quick quick-witted lines and stuff. He was just all around a cool character.
He's if you looked up cool in a dictionary, he would be one of the definitions because he is just he's just that. He's just so swag,
it feels weird using that word, but that is legitimately the best way to probably describe him, right? Because I don't know of a character. I think he might be legitimately one of the coolest characters in all of anime.
So in such a low key way, yes. He's just
he's perfect. He's not too in your face with everything, but he's also a badass and
yeah, he's just awesome. All right, next one we have Umaru from Umaru-Chan.
A for me. A for me. I'll explain. So, I think though she is just annoying to her brother, it's a show. It's the show. My sister is annoying to me, right? That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
But it's hilarious, right? The way she goes about it, she's her front at school and then who she is at home. I feel like a lot of people, we can only be so much of ourselves outside. Mm-hmm. And so Umaru, she's able to come home and be this little creature, this little dweller. And it's just she goes chibi and she's lurks around the house and it's just hilarious to me. And for some odd reason, her trolly ways, her annoying ways, maybe because it's not actually happening to me.
Dude, if I was her brother, I'd be move out.
Maybe if I actually were her brother, I'd be a little upset. But
S tier brother, by the way. S tier brother. I think for me, she's an A tier character because her zaniness and her overall who she is as a person is so funny to watch. And she is sort of the inner gremlin that I think everybody wishes they could act out as. At least personally, I vibe with her because I know deep down inside of me, I'm a degenerate who wants to sit at home, play video games, eat chocolate chips, those little
liters of cola,
just drink cola and she's living her best life and yes, but she's an absolute great... If she was a real person, she's an F-tier real person. She's an F-tier real
0
person.
0 out of 10 would not invite over.
But as a character of her show, she is a great character. So next up we have Yagami from Kakegurui. And what's your thoughts?
I got her an A. I think she's great. She has a lot of, she has the chaos.
Personality. Yeah.
She has a lot of plot and personality. No, but legitimately, I love how much chaos she brings to the show. Then again, everybody seems a little chaotic there, but specifically her, she's this OP, whatever, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna walk in there and gamble and see if it works out. So, I like her. I think she's got a lot of character compared to a good amount of the ones listed at the C tier. And I mean, she's a low A, probably closer towards B, but I like her enough. She's funny.
I think of her as a one-trick pony, and not in the good way. Because I think characters like Mob, Saitama, they're also very one-trick pony.
Right.
But we see all the different pieces of depth around it, and that's what makes them such a fulfilling character.
Yeah.
I think Yagami is the epitome of the opposite of that, where her entire personality is just devoted to her doubling down on everything.
Yeah.
And I get to a point where I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it, and I think part of it is I'm also just biased against that show. I think by the time it got to the end of season 1, I was the show's dumb.
The show is dumb. The show is very dumb.
And so I didn't even bother watching season 2. And
it's great. But it's great.
So I give her a high D. I think she's not as... I think she's a little more offensive to me than some of the like more blander main characters.
Okay.
In that like she just feels so aggressively one-sided that like I can't get around it.
It's one-sided, but in a direction that's pretty fun to watch.
I guess, but I don't know. I guess in context of her show, maybe she could be a little better, but I would have wanted more from her character. Next up, we have Agretsuko from Agretsuko.
I give Agretsuko a B, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love a few spin kicks and moshing after work, right?
I think just like, even just on paper, her character is so good. Like the idea that you just go to this desk job and you cannot stand some of the people around you, and then you go home and you rage about it.
Yeah,
I think that's so relatable.
It really is, right? And like, it's just, I think what makes her character even better is also the design of her character.
Oh, yeah,
She's like this tiny, adorable little character, and then just like sharp teeth, and like the dramatic changes in her character are
her like
amazing.
face markings turns into like Kiss.
Yeah,
face
dude,
paint,
I love. It's like bleeding mascara all of a sudden. It's just like, dude, it's super fun to watch.
So yeah, I think B tier is pretty good for her. All right, next up we have Luffy from One Piece.
Oh, man, it's been so long since I've watched One Piece, because I watched it like in '99 and 2000, and then I kind of stopped afterwards. So I would say that I'm just gonna put it as haven't watched at this point now, because I am so far removed from it that it's just, I don't even know who he is now.
I think Luffy is like a solid A tier character. It's funny because like I think Luffy comes from a time where a lot of the main characters are very straightforward and bland, and they have this, some of the same downfalls of like they always step up to the plate to whatever they need to. But Luffy has a different kind of charm that I think some of the other characters don't have. He's very straightforward. He is just there. He just wants to be the Pirate King, and he wants to protect his friends. But like all the little bits of humor that go along with Luffy is like what makes him so adorable. And then not only that, his like backstory with his brothers and like the whole way he grew up, like he becomes a really well-rounded character in a way that you would never have expected for someone so straightforward. Like he's like a grown-up Gon in that way, where he's like super positive and like just wants to do the best thing that he can. But then you've like find out like, oh, actually his past is like really like messed up, and he really came from a lot of adversity to get to where he is today. And meanwhile, he just maintains a positive attitude throughout it. Like I don't know. I love Luffy. He is just like the person. He's just so charismatic, even in his simplicity.
Okay,
So,
I mean, like, yeah, like, cause that kind of like lines up with like what I read when it started, I guess, in Shonen Jump. So he always seemed like an interesting character. I don't even know why I stopped following up on everything. It's just like, but
at some point you stop watching One Piece, and then you realize how much there is to catch up on, and then
that's the main reason why I haven't finished One Piece, because I was like, okay, well, at this point I've not watched it for this long. We're never gonna finish this.
All right, next up we have Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. Thoughts?
I think Tanjiro is a solid B.
Solid B.
I think he's kind of like very, very much so. I like the sympathy and the way he connects with every kill, right? He shows that every kill, this could be a detractor for some, but I find it enjoyable to see that it's almost like every single thing he kills, he shows that he respects it. And no matter what, like, it's like, hey, I'm sorry to take your life, but I'm also gonna dunk you. But like at the same time, I'm sorry I had to do this. I wish there were another way. Mm-hmm. He really did, because he felt like he was thrusted into this situation where he has to kill demons when all he wanted to do was live in the woods and just be with his family, right? So it's just, it's nice. It's nice to see that, as opposed to wipes blood off the face and like uppercuts demons like into the sun or something like that. You know what I mean? So
that's Inosuke's job.
Yeah, that can be Inosuke.
Yeah, I think it's funny because, in my opinion, he's so bland that we never really get to. I feel like we never really get to see more from his character. In fact, I think the movie does a kind of a better job of like taking his like pureness and like using it as like a way of understanding. Because like I love that moment when they're entering people's like inner psyches and their inner worlds and
that scene was beautiful.
And then they get into Tanjiro, and it's just like the sublime like universe that dwells inside of him.
The
and,
warmth that's there, dude. That added. I'm not gonna lie, that scene. I felt that scene. I was like, that's so sweet, right?
Yeah, and I was like, okay, Tanjiro. I get it, he's pure boy, but for me, I still feel like there could be more. He's starting to open up his shell a little bit more. Like I'm starting to really like the sort of dichotomy that he has with like Inosuke and Zenitsu, and like trying to be that. I'm not saying I like Zenitsu.
No, I know. It's selective hearing. Selective hearing. It's okay. I stitch that together.
I still am putting him in C, but I think he's like a relatively high C to me. Like he's probably above Naruto because like I like sort of his brotherly bonds that he's forming with other characters, and his pureness is like, even though that is his like defining trait and it's boring, it's still, I don't know. They use it in such in an interesting way, at least like in the movie and stuff. So like, I don't know. I'm okay with him being like higher C, I think.
Yeah. I mean that makes sense, right? Like it's just how you like want to handle that because he can be a little bit, too sentimental with every kill, right? So.
All right. So next up we have from Dr. Stone, the onion guy's head. I forgot.
Senku.
Senku. That's right. Nice. Okay. We have Senku from
Dr. Stone.
Dr. Stone, yeah.
I give him an F.
An F?
I find him so not entertaining or like interesting whatsoever. He's so just kind of like, lighthearted, like I'm super, like, I can't stand him in this show. I just don't care. It's not that I like can't stand him, sorry. It's more just I don't care. I don't care. I think, but then again, I think a lot of Dr. Stone's characters lack like some kind of edge to me or some kind of like lasting value.
Interesting. You didn't like Dr. Stone, huh?
No, I did not. Okay. I did not like Dr. Stone. So, and like Senku was one of the main points that I didn't like, right? The only one I did like was the little kid with the pumpkin head. He was the best character. But other than that, like Senku doesn't do it for me. Like he's just like, okay, cool. He's like the Bill Nye of the show. You got it.
Bill Nye. I think I like Senku. I just don't think he's like super high up there for me. Because I think he suffers the same thing that like Jalani suffers a little bit, where he's just terrific ass pulls. But I think he's a little better for a couple of reasons. Because like I really enjoyed the moments in which you see that he isn't all just calculation. Because I think like an easy pitfall for this kind of character is that he's like too in his own head and he never looks after anybody else and whatever. But I think what sets him apart is like the moments where he really like brings forth his like humanity side to him. And I like that. And so like I actually think I'm gonna put him at a low B.
I liked meeting his dad. Right? Like I thought all of that was fine, but like there's some cool arcs, but him as a character, I just couldn't, I don't know, man.
Don't get me wrong, I don't think he's like amazing main character, but I thought he showed some stuff that like made me be like, you know what, Senku's a really good guy, and I appreciate that about him. So, okay, next up we have
Kaguya?
Yeah, Kaguya from Kaguya-sama, and she's hilarious.
Yeah, she's hilarious. I give her like a solid like B, I think.
Solid B? Okay.
She's pretty funny, dude. Like the whole back and forth of that whole show is absurd. They're just like, why don't you just admit it, right? Like.
Yeah, Chica is an S tier character. I wish she was on here, but I think I'm gonna give Kaguya like a low A for me.
Yeah.
And I just think that her character is very funny, and
it is.
I think in a lot of relationship shows, where people are like, ooh, I can't speak my feelings, that can feel kind of irritating.
Right.
But because of their antics in Kaguya-sama, it's just so funny to me. Like, it's so awkward and hilarious, and I don't know, it's just so different. And I guess part of it is just that the Kaguya-sama show is so good.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
What's the episode where he, like the president, the vice president, he's just like, she always thinks in her head she's gonna say, how cute.
Oh yeah.
like that one just like, dude, that split my sides. I was like, I love that episode.
I think that's part of what makes it funny too, is that everyone has this image of her that completely does not match up to who she really is.
Right.
And I think that dichotomy is super funny with her character, and I think that's one of the main reasons why I love that show so much.
Yeah, fully.
Okay. Last but not least, we have Itadori Yuji from Jujutsu Kaisen, and he is a great main character. He really is. I think it's yet for me to see if he's like a true S tier, because I feel like S tiers, like all of them are like proven warriors.
Right.
But I think Yuji is like very solidly like high A tier.
He is for me, high A.
He's just like, even though he has some of the traits of like the generics, like,
well, he's like got the Naruto traits, right?
Yeah.
Like some of that stuff, but
I think like his antics and the way his like personality shines through with other characters around him really just like sets him apart for me than some of the other more like generic anime protags.
Much like you had mentioned, like with like example Saitama and Saiki and like Umaru and all that, I have him at a high A also because I think that the show also doesn't work without him.
Yeah.
Right? Like his just like you had mentioned, like how lovable he is as a character is hilarious. The like example, like when he's training, right? And he's watching the movies and he's like, I thought I'd get like a cool laser beam out of my finger or something. And then watching his like facial expressions and the way it's drawn. It's just like, he's got so much character that is just, oh my God, it's exactly what I want. He's powerful. It's showing that you can still do powerful characters if you make him enjoyable as a person.
Yeah.
And the thing here is he's the best. He's like it's so rare that like, I mean, like I love Gojo. Gojo is everybody's like senpai, but the thing here is legitimately Yuji is why I watch the show.
Yeah, I think, a couple of different parts of Yuji. He's generally upbeat. That's like a general trait with a lot of protags, but not only that, it's like the way he protects his friends is so endearing, I think. Yep. And then on top of his like dumb humor that really cracks me, like his like coming back party reveal is like the
and no one
thing.
cares.
Yeah. Everyone's just mad at him, and like he's kind of like the epitome of everyone's best friend, right? Like, and I think that's like he's just incredibly endearing in a way that like I think like Naruto never was that endearing. I don't think Ichigo was ever that endearing. Like,
I'm gonna be honest with you, everybody at C on my C list, I think the show would still work without him.
Yeah, like they're like way blander in terms of personality, and I love Yuji, and he's irreplaceable in the show.
I mean, he really is, because also Sakuna is a part of it.
Yeah, true.
like he is just all around. Like Jujutsu Kaisen as a whole. I mean, look, let's not lie here, okay? Like I'm literally fanboying. I know, right? Like underneath this is another Jujutsu Kaisen shirt you can't see, and I'm probably touching my mic too much. But like, legitimately, I feel that Jujutsu Kaisen as a whole has raised the bar. Mm-hmm. Animation, characters that are all very much so enjoyable. Yeah. Like they've done it. Like whether it's main characters, side characters, brilliant show.
All right, let's wrap this up. So these are our final tier lists for some of these protags. Who did we miss in the show? In the shows that you've watched, let us know. And
Yeah, this is fun. We finally actually got to do an episode together. Yeah. So thanks for watching as always, and make sure as always hit the like, subscribe, and all the call to action stuff that you would normally do anyways. So
let us know what you guys want to see next, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, guys.
Peace.
I saw the blinking red thing and I was like,